All right, we are live with the Insurance 101 call. This is the call where we teach all of the basic information about the sales of life insurance, mortgage protection, life insurance, final expense, IULs, whatever it may be. We're going to teach you a little bit here and there about the sales process. If you're not doing $20,000 in annual premium per month, you should be on this call, $5,000 a week minimum. Okay, this call is for basic learning for the sales training for insurance, life insurance. So today, I had a few people reach out to me, well, over the course of my career and mainly just recently, ask me, how do you keep a work-life balance? And with a 9-to-5 job, it's pretty easy, right? I mean, a work to family balance is kind of what I'm talking about. With a 9-to-5 job, it's pretty easy because when you go to work, you're focusing on work, right? But when you come home, you're focusing on your home life, your family, right? Well, when you own your own business, it's a little bit different. You can't really, do one thing or the other. You kind of have to combine them, right? Real estate agents, business owners, right? You have to really kind of combine them. So how do you keep that work, life, home, family balance? Well, in my opinion, and the best way that it's worked for me is by keeping a tight schedule. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight on the training portion of this before we get to the role play, is how to keep a tight schedule. And so I'm going to kind of get into that right now. The first thing that I put on my schedule is my me time, right? You got to have me time. And sometimes that's a day. Sometimes that's a couple of days. But right now, as a new person, when you're first starting out, you have to focus on your business, right? So, but you also have to focus on you first. So for me, every single morning, what I do is I schedule my me time first, right? That includes working out. That includes listening to something positive. I get that out of the way first because then I can focus and prepare on my day for the rest of the day. I do that first. And I put that in my calendar. Okay. There's multiple calendars out there right now. I recommend, I'm going to just start on that part right there. I recommend using a Google Calendar or a Apple Calendar on your phone. Not really writing it down, because if you're writing it down, what happens if you lose it? It's a good thing to write it down, but it's super easy and convenient just to plug things into your phone, right? And you can share that calendar with your loved one. If you have a certain calendar that you're apt to or that you like the most, share that with your loved one, your spouse, your kids, so that they know what's going on in your life too. And that way it makes things more efficient as well. So the first thing I schedule is my me time. Then what we want to do, hang on a second here.
It's all right. Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, had somebody unmuted. So the first thing what we want to do is schedule our me time, right? That would include anything you're working out, your mental activities, your learning activities that you want to grow with, right? That's your me time. Days off. If you need a day off, I take Sundays off. God and church are God and family are my Sundays, right? I will work a Sunday if it's requested by a client. But other than that, I'm not going to work a Sunday. That's just me, right? You can do however you want to. If you want to take off a Wednesday, you want to take off a Tuesday, do what you need to do. But the brain needs that for recovery, right? We work. We also need recovery. It's kind of like sleep. We need sleep to stay alive. It recuperates, it regenerates our brain, it regenerates our body. And so we need that, right? But you need to schedule that in there first, okay? The next thing that I put in there is family time, right? If I can't take care of myself, if I don't put my me time in there, it's hard for me to be able to take care of anybody else unless I take care of myself first. That's not being conceited. That's not being selfish. I'm doing that because I want to be able to provide for my family. I want to be able to provide for those people that I love the most. If I'm not healthy, if I'm not eating right, if I'm not strong enough, if I'm not working out, I can't work. I can't provide for my family. But the next thing on my list is my family that I put in my schedule. I schedule time for my son. I have 3 kids. My middle one is disabled. My oldest one, she's out of the house. So really, we have our 12-year-old son that we kind of run and do activities with. I put his activities in the calendar. Each week, I talk to my wife and we sit down and we say, okay, what do we need to focus on this week? And when are they? What's the timing? I use Apple Calendar. So if we got to go someplace, there's a spot in there to where you can click on the drive time, and it schedules that drive time in there as well so that you're not late for these appointments, right? So put in your family time next, okay? After that, you want to put in your learning time for your business. We're starting to get to the business activities, okay? Why learning time first of the business? Because as a new person, you need to get on the calls, the scheduled calls. Okay, there's 4 calls that you should get on per week. I'm going to put a little sheet here in the chat of the weekly call times that you guys need to be on every single week as a new agent. Even as a seasoned agent, you should definitely be on these calls because these calls are super important. This is your learning activity for what's in your business, what's coming down the pipeline. This is super important because this is your training, right? This is new information regarding what's going on with your team, the company, any upcoming events, trainings. These should be mandatory for you. So plug them into your calendar and make it a reoccurring event so that way you never miss that call. And when you're on that call, focus. Take a pen and paper and write some notes down. When you're writing notes down, it's sinking into your brain and it's becoming something that you're going to remember, right? There's a lot of times where, we're on an appointment or something and that appointment runs over the call. Well, I'm still on the call, but sometimes I just got to, kind of watch it while I'm running the rest of that appointment. Then when I'm done with the appointment, I'm focused on the call. I'm focused on learning about what's going on today. Drake was on with Grady today and did a fantastic job on the call. I was sitting there taking notes. I loved it. It was great. He did a fantastic job. The next thing that you want to do is put in your calendar the money-making activities, okay? This is a huge priority. Why? Because this is what's going to make your income for your family, right? This could be setting appointments. Put all of your appointments in the white space that's left, right? So if you have activities, let's say you have to, like my son, he's on a mountain bike team. And so he practices every Tuesday, and then he's got a race about once a month, sometimes twice a month. So I put those on the calendar first, and his practice is on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I know that I'm going to schedule, I create my schedule for my appointments to where they end at about 4:30 at night so that I have time to get him to where I need to be. Now, I can communicate that with my wife, and sometimes she'll do that. She'll take him for me so I don't have to do that, and then I can schedule appointments accordingly, right? But you want to put those in there in the white space so that you know exactly, when those appointments are coming up. If you get back at 8 o'clock, why not schedule an appointment that's in West Coast at 9 o'clock? If you're in Central Time, West Coast would be a 7 o'clock appointment for a 9 o'clock your time appointment, right? So if you want to work Hawaii, you can work till 10, 11 o'clock at night if you need to, right? But if we put the most important, our priority things in first, your me time, your family time, then your learning time, you're always going to grow. Okay. Here's the opposite. Let's say you don't put your me time in there. You don't put your family time in there, and you don't put your learning time in there, your scheduled calls, right? Now all you have is appointments. That's it. Okay. Yeah, that's going to make you some money. And that's going to make you a lot of money because you're running a lot of appointments. But what happens down the road when you want to learn about IULs, or you want to learn about annuities, or you want to learn about what's coming down the pipeline? Maybe we're picking up a carrier, but you don't know about it because you're not on the call, right? Or maybe you miss a life event that happens for your family because you don't have your family time scheduled in there because you have too many appointments. I understand appointments are important, but the reason why we're here is to support our family, right? To make money for our family, become financially wealthy to help ourselves and our family, right? If you just schedule your appointments, you're not gonna have time for your me time. You're not gonna be able to take care of yourself. You're not gonna be able to take care of your family long term. And then those appointments are going to dwindle anyways. Okay. So you have to take care of the stuff that's going to help you grow with your family, with your business. That's that learning one. And then you put in your appointments after that. Okay. And those are called money-making activities, right? Another thing that you would put in that schedule at that point is maybe your recruiting calls. Maybe you have agents, maybe you're marketing for new agents. And so if you have a call with an agent, you schedule a time in that space that is not included in the me time, the family time, or your learning time, right? So a lot of people think that scheduling appointments is the number one thing. It's really not. It's really not. The number one thing is your me time, your family time, and then the learning time, right? Those things help you grow. Okay. Then after that, any white space that's in there, that's the time that you would schedule the things that come up. Okay. You need to pick something up at the store, right? Maybe you got to run and grab some milk. Maybe you need to go to the bank for something. Maybe you need to take the car in for an oil change, something like that. Things that are just going to come up on the fly. That's what you need to put in your schedule in that white space. Okay. If you don't have time to do it, then don't do it, right? We're creating a lifestyle of things that come first. Okay. And that's how the big people do it. That's how the people that are highly successful, that's the gurus out there, that's the millionaires, the millionaire makers. Those are the people, if you call them up and ask them for a time, they probably don't have a time. Why? Because they have all their scheduled out, and they put in their me time, they put in their family time first, because that's the whole reason why we're doing this business, is so that we can have more time to be with our families, right? And so we have to take that time and make that time, right? And then every week, once you have your schedule made, here's the most important part, guys. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay. Do what you say you're going to do. You don't do what you say you're going to do, there's no point in having a schedule, right? That's the most important thing, is to work the schedule. If you got a schedule put in there, work it. Something comes up. I mean, nothing's perfect, right? But if something comes up and you got to change it, then change it, right? If you got something comes up and your husband, your wife is like, can you run to the bank for me? Put it on the schedule. Put it on the schedule. It takes you 30 seconds. But if you don't put it on the schedule, you're not building that habit. And then all of a sudden you'll forget to put other things on the schedule. But no matter what it is, put it on the schedule. That way you can see what you're doing and what's next. Now, what if you have a big project? What if you're learning IULs and you only have 2 hours, right? But sometimes it takes longer to learn IULs. We'll schedule 2 hours and then come back to it, schedule another 2 hours next week or the week after that. It could be an ongoing project, but once that 2 hours is up, move on to your next thing on the schedule. Okay. Don't hesitate, right? Do that. Give yourself some breaks, right? Your brain can go into deep focus for about an hour and a half to 2 hours before it needs a mental break. And by a mental break, what I mean by that is don't think about what you're in deep work with, right? if you're learning IULs or annuities, sometimes you can get in deep with that. And that's what you want to do, because all that information is getting downloaded into your brain, so to say, right? You're learning all of that information very, very quickly, and it's sinking in. So you want to get into deep focus while you're doing that. That's another thing that scheduling does, is it helps you get into deep focus, right? If you don't have a schedule, a lot of times you're working, but then you're trying to figure out, okay, I got to do this at this, I got to do that at this time, I got to do that. You're thinking about all the other stuff that you have to do. You can't get into deep work at that time. You can't get into deep focus because you're worried about all the other stuff that you have to do. Rather, as if you put it on the schedule and work the schedule and do exactly what you tell yourself you're going to do, then life becomes a lot more easier. And you're going to find that you'll get a lot more done when you have it on your schedule and you planned for it than you will if you don't have it on your schedule and you didn't plan for it. Because otherwise, we're just going with the wind and we're going wherever the wind blows. We're not creating our life. We're letting the life take us. We're letting the world take us wherever it wants to go. You want to create a lifestyle, you have to have a schedule. That's where it starts. That's the basic of where it starts, is your schedule. And doing what you say you're going to do is integrity. We have a company that's partnered with us called Integrity, right? And that's where we want to practice. That's where we want to be. That's how we have to act, is with integrity, right? By doing what you say you're going to do, you're setting an example for your family and your kids, right? And if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're affecting not only yourself, but your family and your kids, right? So when you set your schedule and work your schedule. Do what you say you're going to do. That's all I got for you guys. Let's start some role play here. All right. Who wants to do some role play? Put up your hand. All right, well, there we go. Our two first prospects, Drake and Kelly. Drake's on fire lately. I am so glad you came on, buddy.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Do you want to be the agent or do you want to be the client, Drake?
What do you think?
I think you should be the agent. Kelly, you want to be the client real quick? Then we'll just
Sure.
flip-flop.
I'll give it a shot. Sure.
Okay, perfect. Let's go. Ring, ring.
Hello.
What's the scenario? What am I doing? Ring ring's my thing. Who am I calling?
Just hang up.
Let's try to start it off for you. Just do a one call close. Go all the way through until you close them.
All right, who am I talking to?
It's Mr. Kelly T.
All right, let's go, Kelly. All right. Hello, Kelly.
Yeah. Who is this?
Hey, Kelly. This is Drake. Don't hang up. I'm not a telemarketer.
Okay.
Perfect. I see your birthday is June 16th, 73. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. How do you know that?
Yeah, I'm calling because of the information you requested online. It looks like to protect probably your spouse or maybe Stephanie, your daughter. Is that accurate?
Steph. Gosh, I haven't seen Steph in a couple of years.
Come on, don't be a dick. Let's go. Come on. I'm going to hammer you when it's my turn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. It's most likely for my wife. I want to make sure that she's taken care of.
Love it. So that's why I'm calling. So just to explain real quickly, it looks like you requested for some information. I'm not a captive agent. I'm an underwriter and an insurance broker. I'm here to work for you. I'm going to need you to go grab a pen and a piece of paper real quick. Can you do that?
Okay.
You just noticed your phone just beeped. That was me sending you some information I'm required to give you. Can you pull that up real quick? It'll save us both times, so you don't actually have to write it down.
And what do you want me to do here?
just go ahead and click on the link that says Drake Jeremani verified producer on it.
Okay.
Perfect. So you're going to see that funny picture of me. I'm actually not balding. I just shaved my head because since the pandemic, I don't have time to get a haircut. Yeah, I think it's funny too. Kind of like Homer Simpson, except I'm a little fatter and not as good looking as SWS. So what I wanted you to do really quick is just go ahead and scroll down and take a look. You'll see that I'm licensed in those 15 states. Do you see those?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And if
we're
you
in-
scroll down a little bit further, you're going to see that there's about 25 insurance companies. You're probably familiar with some of them. So AIG, Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Aetna. Does some of those ring a bell? Sound familiar?
Mutual of Omaha for sure.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mhm.
So I'm here to work for you. My goal, I'm not the fancy sales guy, okay? I'm not going to send you a mug and a t-shirt. I'm not going to sell you anything. My goal is to work for you, find out what company is going to approve you today and get you a policy that protects Stephanie and your family. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. So in order for me to do that today, I'm going to need your account number, social security number, and driver's license. Is that going to be a problem today?
I'm curious about the account number.
Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
What are you curious about?
Why? I'm not too sure exactly where we're going, but why do you need my account number up front?
I'm glad you asked. So you put in a request for protection for Stephanie, and I'm trying to see if you're approved and which of these carriers is going to be most likely to approve you with the best rate and the maximum amount of benefit for Stephanie and your family. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so the account number is simply to validate that you exist and it's not your cousin in Alabama applying for insurance under your name. Also to protect you from fraud and to protect the insurance companies from anti-money laundering. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So are you using Wells Fargo there in Georgia or Bank of America?
Actually, Chase Bank.
Great, even better. I have their routing number is 121-226-227. Can you verify that in your checkbook?
Let me look on my online app. That's correct.
Great. And what's your account number?
123-789-1124.
Perfect. And then your social security number?
450-00-1234.
And just for accuracy, can you give me your exact birthday? I see you're 65 here, but I just want to make sure we're accurate and see if I could do anything on the rate for you.
Yeah, it's January 20th, 1962.
Right. So I just wanted to double check that. I know I gave it to you in the beginning, but just to make sure. So you just now received a text message for an authorization code. Do you see that?
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, so that's basically just a HIPAA form because right now I'm trying to see if you're going to pass the Medical Information Bureau. So right now my screen's frozen. I can't continue until you give me that access code back. Once you do, I'm going to have to type in my social security number and say the information I've submitted so far to be believed to be true and accurate. Now you're not walking around the house with an oxygen tank or on dialysis or anything, are you?
No,
Okay, and Stephanie's not pushing you around the house in a wheelchair or anything, is she?
no.
I didn't think so. You sound pretty peppy. So what's that authorization code?
Shoot. 800191.
Great. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just give you a couple more pieces of information real quickly and just kind of understand exactly how much access you have to a budget. So when you requested this information, what were you thinking was the amount of coverage you were going to look for? Was it just the 50,000 Or were you looking to protect more than final expense, maybe your mortgage?
Yeah, I would have to look at the mortgage thing at another time. I was just more concerned in making sure that my, the burial and funeral was taken care of, that no one had to take care of it, out of their pocket.
Great. I'm glad I asked. So that makes it fairly simple. So for your age, I'm looking at some information right here. I'm just going to go through some questions. You answered most of them real quick. I'm not going to ask them all. You all know what they are. There's 12 of them we have to ask by law. You don't have COPOD, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So you're going to get another authorization code in just a second here. What this one's going to do is it's actually going to go to underwriting now, because the first time you just gave me consent, right? Because I'm the insurance broker you trust. I work for you. I showed you my credentials. Now we're going to talk about what quotes would be, but I can't really do that until I know you're approved, or we have to pivot to another carrier that might be more expensive. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Great. So what's that authorization code?
910019.
I love it. Thank you. That was so easy. Now it's just going to take a minute. You know how technology is now. Rarely does it immediately approve, but if it does, I'll go through some numbers with you very quickly. Hey, guess what? It was approved. So at that 40,000 mark that we kind of discussed briefly for final expense, you're going to be looking at about almost $400 for your age. Now, if we look at your mortgage or we look at your final expenses, so whichever way you want to do this, folks, your mortgage is $2,000 a month. So that's $24,000 a year. So you're going to be able to buy time with that. That's going to be a year of mortgage payments to protect your loved one. No one's going to assume the property. Stephanie's not going to have to qualify to refinance the house. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Flip gears, final expense. So 40,000, right? 400's a good amount. That's going to definitely cover your burial there in Georgia. That's going to leave some extra money to Stephanie. If we cut that in half, it's going to go down to about 253.91, and that's going to be about 25,000 of coverage. And that's about as low as I feel like going, considering your age and leaving Stephanie a little bit of money outside of the burial. Which of those two options do you like?
Can you repeat that for me, please? I just digesting it.
You know, I made that all up just for you, Kelly. Okay. But yes, I have it all right here. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Now, yeah, it does make sense. Actually, absolutely. What was the first option again?
It was actually my last customer. I just closed this one. So I was just doing the same thing. Okay. So, Mr. Customer, the max amount you can do for your age with this whole life policy, which includes, well, mine was in California, so I didn't talk about living benefits, Sean, so don't rip me a new one. 40,000 is going to be almost about 400. So every $10,000 is about $100 a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
25,000, which is what I'm going to recommend. I'm not going to go any lower than that because of where you live and your final expenses and leaving a little money to your beloved Stephanie. To me, that makes sense to be a good amount. Let me know which of those two options you're more comfortable with.
Yeah, the lower of the two. Start there.
Right. So
Is it-
now I know sort of where they fit, but I want to make sure they can afford it. So another piece that I add is, like I had mentioned before, I'm not a captive agent. I'm the Wikipedia of insurance brokers. If you're not my customer in 12 months, it doesn't actually go into my book of business. I'm calling you today from a phone number I've had for 25 years. My goal is to create you a new customer into my book of business. I'm going to call Stephanie. I'm going to give her my number with your permission. Let her know I'm Drake, the insurance guy. I'm always going to be here on the worst day ever for any of your family and provide an additional resource instead of them calling the 800 number, which they can do, but they can reach out to me as well. I just kind of wanted to provide that to you. Does that make sense?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, what else do you want me to do, Sean? Give me some questions.
That's it, man. You're on a roll, and you're killing it. You have a little bit of different style, which is awesome. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Everybody does something a little bit different. Josh has a different style. I have a different style. You have a different style. So the point is like everything works if you just have confidence and you make it work, right? I think one of the tips that I would give you, Drake, I don't want to, talk too much because, and have you change the majority of it because you're doing good. And if you change something, it might throw you off. But I think if I were to give you a tip, it would be throw in a little bit more price conditioning, right? So help them understand that, it could be up here when you give them the price down here, right? And so by doing that, you're going to let them feel like, oh, well, it's not so bad after all, right? Give them some prices that are way up there, right? Like as an example, today I had a client, I don't know if you heard that one.
I was actually trying to do what I learned from you today, but I wasn't as creative because I typically, yes, I was on and I listened to you, and that one was what, 900 a month?
Well, yeah. So I had price conditioned them, letting them know that I had a client that was a few years older that purchased it for 1,600.
Right.
Because and the thought process behind price conditioning is the fact that we want to get the shock value out of the way, right? Because even if I would have told him $450 right off the bat, he would have been like, wow, that's a lot of money, right? But by getting him to think about $890
Yeah.
right off the bat, now he's pondering it, thinking about it. And then as I explained to him that his is, we can do half the mortgage for 450, it was more like a relief, like, oh, okay, no problem. But vice versa, if I would have came and said 450, he would have been like, oh, that's way too much, right? But the purpose of it is if he didn't get anything, he's not protecting his family at all. And we went through his budget, he could afford it, so the whole point is, I think if you were to add a little bit more price conditioning in there, you'd do a lot better.
Nope, I agree 100%. And, I'm not one to, I like to role play, but to me, it's really not role play. It's just practice.
Yeah, that's all role play is.
Because I say the
Awesome.
same thing over and over, and I am a little outside the box and reverse grain. I do set the table right off the bat, and I go right after the account number and then go right after credibility, and it's working. I've been doing it for almost, I don't know, 6 weeks, and it's starting to be more consistent. So I'm just trying to figure out what works for me, since I don't have enough appointments show up, and I've only gotten to 8 a day. So I'm just trying to master one call close. But the first person I ever spoke to on Living Dials, as I said today when I talked to Grady, was you. And any feedback you give me, I absorb it because I can only get better. I appreciate everyone on here, and I just have the gift of gab and like helping people. There's no magic sauce. It's just, how do you keep them saying yes? And ultimately, can they afford it? I don't want them to do it if they're not going to stay my customer. And that's the truth. It's not boozling them into doing an authorization code. It's, does it make sense? I'm using the authorization code to screen the client to figure out if we can even get them a product or which company we're going to pivot to, which might be really expensive and they can't afford. So it's just doing it faster.
Yeah. You do a fantastic job, Drake. You're doing a fantastic job. Keep up the momentum. You're too humble. Thank you. So do you want to be the client? Let Kelly be the agent?
Oh, I'm going to be so mean. No, Kelly, I'll be really nice because I just want people to learn and go fast.
Don't make them quit.
All right, Kelly.
That's just, there's a computer button. Okay.
All right, Kelly, you be the agent and do a one call close. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's all I've been able to do.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey there. Is this Josh?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Josh, this is Kelly. I'm just reaching out to you because recently I know it's a little bit, maybe like a month or two, and I apologize. We're really overwhelmed, but I'm a licensed underwriter here in the state of Colorado. I've been assigned to your case, working in the Pueblo area, and I'm getting back to you because you recently filled out a form where you were requesting some information about a type of insurance. Now, most people fill out these forms because they're looking for coverage, new or additional coverage for their burial costs, funeral, or cremation because they don't want to burden their loved ones with those final expenses. Does that sound like you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, once again, my apologies. Your case has been turned over to me because it looks like no one's reached out to you yet. And if you can do something, this is just going to take a few minutes. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper. So, because you got some important stuff to write down. Can you do that for me, please?
Sure. I actually have one. I'm sitting at my desk.
Okay. I want you to write down my personal information. And by the way, I just sent you my digital business card. So you're going to have it there in front of you. Plus in your text, you've got my digital business card. It's got my picture on it, so you can put a face to the voice. It's got my national license number, which is registered in the state of Colorado, which you can verify that I am licensed. Background check that have been given the authority to assist you today. Okay. It'll also have my phone number and the number that you can text me on. Now, I want you to write down my name. First name is Kelly, and that's with a Y.
I have the website here. I have the digital card. Do you still want me to write it down?
Well, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and write it down?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
I had to get you back.
Okay. Now, my first name is Kelly. My last name is Gerards. I can spell that for you if you like. It's a little tricky, Nicky. My state producer or my national license number is 197-14175.
Okay, I got
it. It's just this way you know who I am, and I'm actually legally required to do this. Now, bear in mind, I'm not, some fancy pants salesperson sitting in a cubicle, a sales agent. I'm actually a broker, a medical underwriter. I'm directly appointed with more than 30 carriers across the country. And there's 10 of the top A+ rated carriers that I love to work with here in Colorado. And what we're going to do today, it's very simple. So I'm just going to lay out the table for you. Is for one, we're going to get to know a little bit more about you and what it is that you're looking for, your needs, because this is all about you. Two, we're going to ask you a few health questions. We're just going to take a few minutes to find out a little bit more about your health. We're not going to send a nurse or a doctor to come and poke and prod or make you pee in a cup. All right.
Okay.
Good deal. And then once that's done, we may even talk about your finances a little bit, but the majority of the people that I speak with, and I'm looking at your card right here, it looks like you're retired, but are you still working?
No, but I have a decent income for retirement coming in and Social Security. About $3,500 a month.
What kind of work did you used to do?
I was a police officer.
How many years?
25.
Put the time in. Mainly on the street? Any detective work in the office?
I was a detective.
Good
Oakland
for you.
homicide.
Oh no, I've heard. Enough said. But at any rate, it's kind of curious. What really prompted you to start looking into this today?
I just saw this ad on Facebook and it just caught my attention, and start thinking about your loved ones and start thinking about all the people around me. No one can really get away from the inevitable. So I just thought it would be something.
Right.
Quote.
I hear you. I understand. But, let me ask you this. Have you ever had to help pay or participate in someone else's funeral before?
No.
You're one of the lucky ones.
I guess
you're one of the lucky ones. And so are you married or single?
Married.
You're married. What's your wife's name?
Karen.
So is Karen going to be the primary beneficiary or the person that's primarily going to be picking up the pieces and taking care of everything for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Karen's going to be the primary beneficiary. Now, I think it's awesome that you're doing this. It's very important that you're doing this. Okay. Because God forbid when that day comes that the good Lord calls you home, that all of a sudden Karen's in a spot, if you know what I mean. And so what we're looking at here in the state of Colorado is that the average funeral burial, if you're looking at a conventional funeral burial, is about $25,000. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in your mind, Josh, was there a different number that you had in mind when you started thinking about this?
Well, I mean, that's important, and maybe a little extra money on the side as well, since I don't have any other types of insurance in place.
Okay. Okay. So we'll come up with some different options, and we're going to talk about your health here a little bit. And also, I do commend you for your service. I'm not from Oakland, but I know that's not an easy route to take as far as what you did for a living. And hey, you're welcome. Thank you. And I do have a friend who has family out there though. And but at any rate, so as far as on your health, you know, how is your health, generally speaking?
Good. You know, 5'10", blue eyes. Just kidding.
Okay.
185 pounds.
Okay. And here's where, of course, I would go through all the medical questions, get the height and weight, confirm if they're a smoker or non-smoker at that point, and actually, do the underwriting chart to see what carrier may be best. And I'm going to say at this point, well, Mr. Josh, here's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and use this nice little tool one of our carriers called Americo uses. And we're going to start the script check. Are you familiar with HIPAA?
Yes.
Good deal. So what I'm going to be doing is Americo is going to be sending you a text, and it's going to have a 6-digit code, and you're going to give that code back to me. And essentially what you're doing is you're giving Americo permission to run a very quick prescription check to make sure that everything's in line with what you've already told me today in regards to your health. And then that's going to tell us exactly what plan's going to fit your situation best. We can look at the different options because a few things are important. One, that you understand how the policy works, correct? And that it's going to fit your needs, that there's enough coverage that you're looking for, but more importantly, that it fits your budget. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so the text should be coming about now.
I got it.
Awesome. And what is that 6-digit number, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, they made it easy on that one. Okay, good enough. It's going to come back here. I submitted it. Well, awesome. It says that we can proceed with asking more questions. Now, as I meant to say up front, our main purpose here is to see if we can get you qualified. It's not like you can buy insurance right now. It's not like you can go over to City Market and buy a gallon of milk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. The insurance companies do need to take a little bit more thorough look. And so we're going to gather a little bit more information, and then we're going to submit that to the carrier for a final approval. But first, we're going to look at some options. Okay. And so I had mentioned 25. You were thinking a little bit more, and actually you would be able to max out at $40,000 for the final expense coverage, because this is, I'll go ahead and review that now. This is a permanent whole life policy. Okay, it's permanent coverage. What that means is the rates will never increase, the benefits will never decrease as long as you live, even till 120. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And it does build cash value over time. So let's say a few years down the road, the refrigerator takes a dump or something, you can actually pull from the policy, basically borrow from yourself versus having to go to the bank. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Also, these funds are paid out tax-free. So versus having the 40,000 in a savings account where, God forbid, that day comes and your wife, is trying to collect out of the bank, she's going to have to pay an inheritance or basically a death tax. So she's going to pay taxes on money that you've already been taxed on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So here we're going to use the insurance as kind of a little bit of a tax shelter. And when that day comes and she needs those funds to take care of your expenses, she'll be able to receive that tax-free, usually within about 3 to 5 business days. Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. And there's a lot of other benefits I could have covered at this point, but so we have the 25,000 amount. We know the max would be 40,000, and we'll go ahead and put 30,000 in between. Sound fair?
Yeah. What are those 3 amounts?
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start at the top for the 40,000. And you're retired, but you're only 62. Well, that's right. Police officers, military, they get to retire a little bit earlier.
Yes, sir.
And so on the $40,000 face amount, you'd be looking at $150 a month only, which is a pretty good rate, actually. And on a $30,000 face amount, and by the way, these do carry what's called additional indemnity if you were to die or pass away from an accident, like an auto accident, anything physical, it'll add an additional 25% on the payout.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. So on the $30,000 face amount, you'd only be looking at $125 a month.
That's a lot less expensive than I thought. Let's just go with the highest one.
With the highest one, with 150.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And a couple of things that I'm going to need here as well is we've already gotten your social number, but to verify that you're established and credible and going to have the ability to pay for this once you're approved, who is it that you bank with, please?
Wells Fargo.
Okay, awesome. And is that in Denver proper?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just take a look at something real quick. Okay, I seem to have their routing number is 102-100-853. That's the routing number. And can you do me a favor? Can you confirm that routing number? Have something that you can confirm that to make sure it's the right one?
Sure, no problem. Whatever you just said, yes.
Okay, awesome. That worked out. Now, what is the account number that's associated with that routing number?
004-267-1234.
Okay. I'll put this in here, Mr. Josh. Get that in. Now you're going to receive another text, okay, with another 6-digit code.
I got it.
Good. It's going to give us the authority to actually submit the request for approval, and we'll get that back in a day or two. So what is that 6-digit code?
654321.
Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate your time, and I look forward to being your agent for life. But let me ask you this, Mr. Josh, how do you feel about everything right now?
Good so far. It's pretty easy.
Good. Okay. Good enough. I've enjoyed working with you. Now, I want you to know that once you're approved, you will receive the policy in the mail, and I'm going to be following up with you. So if you have any questions, we can review it together. But more importantly, if you think you want to make any changes or add anything, we can do that within the first 30 days. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. And if you think that I've done my job properly, I'd be more than happy to assist any associates, family members, or friends that you know.
Yeah, actually, my neighbor was talking about it last week at a card game. So
okay,
let me get his information. I'll give that to you.
Okay. Well, you've got my digital business card, and you can text me information or pass on my information. Have them give me a call, and I'll be here.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome,
Good job, Kelly. Good job, man. You sound a lot better than the last couple of times that you did some role play. A lot more smoother, a lot more
100%.
calm, a lot more collected, so to say. You were also going along with the script. Okay. So one thing, same tip I gave Drake. One thing that you can do better is price conditioning. Most people forget about that. It's huge, especially when you have a client that's 78 years old and he's got to apply for a $40,000 policy and it's going to cost him $400, $500, $600. You really, really, really have to price conditioning, because in their mind, they're thinking this thing may be $100, $200. But if they're talking, if you see that price and it's $600, you're going to have to price condition them, because otherwise they're going to have a hard time justifying the value versus the price. You built the value, but the price conditioning wasn't there. Now, this particular role play, I mean, I think you said it was $125 for 25,000, right? Something like that. So not too expensive, right? But those clients that come up that you really need to protect them, and it's going to cost a lot of money for them. In order to protect them and help them see the value of it, you do have to build the value, but you also have to price condition them, help them understand that it could be this, right? It could be way up here, right? And so just to kind of reiterate, a lot of times I'll share a story about a client that I protected that is older, and then it cost more money so that that he did it, right? He was comfortable with it. Why? Because it helped him protect his family. He had peace of mind that it was going to protect his family. You don't have to worry about his wife not having a house when he passes. He's not having to come out of pocket to pay the funeral expenses, right? And he did it, right? We're using a third party story, right? Then another way to price condition, sometimes you can price condition twice. And another way, you can use the max benefit. If you know they only need 25,000, what you can do is say, okay, they'll go up to 40,000. America will go up to $40,000. So what most of my clients want to do is they want to see that max price, because if they can afford it, they want to leave a little bit of extra behind to their loved ones as like a last love letter. Wouldn't you want to do that? Yeah, of course. And so then you can show them a max value of $40,000, and that price is more than what they're going to pay, right? Because they know, well, I'm not going to be able to afford that. That's okay. You're just getting that shock value out of the way. And so at 40,000, it's going to be $369, right? And they're going to be like, no, I can't afford that. Okay, no problem. Well, we know you need 25,000. That one's only going to be, that one's only $223 a month, right? And we make it sound small. I didn't say 223. I said 223 a month. That one's only, that one's not too bad. That one's only 223. That one's only $689. That one's only $989. Doesn't matter what the number is, it's only. Why? Because you just told them stories about how the prices are way up here. So for them, it's way down here. It's only, right? And so by you doing that, you're going to get a lot more, you're going to help more people that we require a higher dollar amount of premium to get that protection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So Carolyn, she wants to be the client. Are you ready, Carolyn? I can't hear you. You gotta unmute. Hytham, do you want to be the agent?
Sure.
Okay.
Did she quit?
No, she's trying to figure. There you go. She's trying to unmute there. You got it.
On this phone, it's a hard thing to do for me. But okay, I wanted to do this tonight. I wanted to do it once before, but I chickened out. But tomorrow I'm going live, so I want to do this. Will be my first one, and tomorrow will be my first phone call. So
all right, congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you.
I commend you for being a bold, big chicken, right? Because that's how we get there, right? We all got to start from the chicken side. Now we become a rooster, right? Or a hen.
I'm gonna be a hint, yes.
You're gonna be a hint. All right, Carolyn. Hytham, take it
Yes.
away, brother.
All right. So I'm not gonna look in the camera because I'm camera shy, okay? Ring ring.
Hello.
Hey, Carolyn.
Yes,
Hi, Carolyn. This is Hytham Allure. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How
Wonderful,
may I help
wonderful.
you?
Well, my name is Hytham Allure. I'm the medical field underwriter in the state of Texas, and I was reaching out to you regarding this form that you filled out on Facebook for the burial and the final expense program. And I have your beneficiary as Michael. Is that correct?
My beneficiary is who?
Michael?
Michael?
Yes.
Okay, yes. That's the middle name for my grandson, yes.
All right,
But
perfect.
okay,
Perfect. And is that what you were looking for?
it's what I was looking for.
The burial and the final expense program.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to be able to help you with that. So I'm going to make it really easy and simple. I'm just going to ask you a few questions to get to know about you. And after that, I'm going to ask you some medical questions, and then I'm going to ask you some financial questions. And based on how you answer those questions, it's going to give me a good idea of which carrier might approve you.
Okay,
And then once we do that, we'll look at some quotes and see try to find a plan that fits within your budget and what you want to get covered.
okay,
All right. And once we do that, what we're going to do after that, once we find a plan that you like, what we're going to do after that is we're going to submit a simple request to the carrier, because obviously the carrier doesn't know who you are. So we got to get you in front of the carrier so we can get you approved. And when we do that, sounds good?
okay, yes.
All right, perfect. And Carolyn, have you applied for life insurance before?
Not recently,
Not recently. Do you currently have any life insurance?
no.
Okay. And what made you look into this policy?
Well, I don't want to leave my final expenses as a burden for my family. And like I said, if there's a little left over, it can go to my grandson, Mike.
Perfect. And like your family that you don't want to leave the burden behind, will they be able to pay for this if you didn't have this type of coverage?
They may, but it might create a hardship, and it's not their responsibility.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
matter how
I
much
can,
money they have, it's not their responsibility.
absolutely. I can understand that. And just to let you know, like my dad passed away like 5 years ago, August 29th of 2018. And unfortunately, my dad, when he passed away, actually his health took a turn within a week, and then he passed away. So it was like very sudden. And when he passed away, he didn't have that kind of policy in place. So it kind of left a burden on me and my brothers to take care of. We all had to split it. So my portion, I had to, charge it on a credit card because I was going through financial situations myself at the time. It took me about 1.5 years to pay it off, and I had to pay interest through all that time. So it was definitely a big burden that I had to handle, and it kind of threw me off financially for a while. So I can understand how the burden can be devastating on a family if they don't have that kind of finances to take care of it. So I'm going to help you with that. Carolyn, can you receive text message on this number?
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second. Hello?
Yeah, can you receive text message on this number?
Yes,
All right, I just sent you a text message. Can you let me know if you received it?
yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you click on that link for me, please?
Is there really
And
a
when
link?
you open it, I'm sorry?
There's not really a link, right?
Yeah, there is.
On this call?
No, I didn't send you a link, just role play.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
it's
all
just
right,
role play.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's my first time. so
In real
I'm with
life, it would be a link.
you. In
That's
real
correct.
life, yes, I know it
Yeah.
would.
Here, there's not a link.
Okay,
Can you click on
I
that for
got
me?
it.
let me know. Okay, you got it open. All right. You see that picture of a family, like, a husband and wife and a kid?
Yes.
Perfect. That's not me. Can you scroll down a little bit? You're gonna see a picture of a handsome bald guy. Do you see that one?
I see a bald guy.
Yeah, that's me. So that's just wanted to give you a picture to go with the voice, okay?
Okay.
All right, can you scroll down just a little bit? And you're gonna see final expense and mortgage protection, IULs, and annuities. Those are the products that I offer. Do you see that?
Yes, but I'm only interested in the final expense.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm just showing you what I have, and so you can know about me, okay? Can you scroll down just a little bit? You're gonna see some names of states. They're in like highlighted in green. You can see California, Florida, Texas, Arizona, Indiana, Michigan. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. Can you click on the one that says Michigan, please? Now, when you
Sure.
open it on the right top corner, you're gonna see NPN 193-10152. That's my national producer number. That's just like my social security for my license.
Right.
All right. And on the left side, you're gonna see my name and my home address. This is where I reside. Do you see that one?
I see it.
Perfect. Now, can you scroll down just a little bit more? You're gonna see some names of companies. These are different carriers that I'm appointed with. I don't work for them, but I work with them. So I'm not obligated to any one of them. So I'm just here to try to see which one will work best for you.
I get the concept. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going over all this so you can see who I am, that I'm not a scam, and I'm just here to try to help you, to get this coverage. If you're serious about getting this coverage to protect your family, I'm also serious about making this, having you achieve your goal today, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. So I'm just gonna dive right into it, okay? I don't have a fancy presentation, so I'm just gonna ask you some medical questions, and then I'm gonna ask you some financial questions. Well, let me ask you, who would be the beneficiary?
Michael.
Oh, yeah, I said that. I'm sorry. Would Michael be the 100% beneficiary?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And what's his age? What's his date of
25.
birth?
He's 25.
His date of birth, please.
I don't know. I don't have that.
Just throw a number out. Okay, thank you.
27. Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, and are you a smoker?
No.
Have you ever smoked?
Yes.
It's okay, you can tell me.
I said yes.
Oh, okay. And how long ago that you haven't smoked?
Since 97.
Okay, perfect. Good for you. And what's your height and weight?
5'4", 160.
Is that before breakfast or after breakfast?
I don't think that has a thing to do with the application.
No, it was just a joke, that's all.
Okay. You don't joke with women about their weight.
I do it all the time and they laugh. All right, perfect. Have you had any heart attacks, strokes, or mini strokes?
No.
Cancer?
No.
Stents?
No. Can you hear me? I said no.
Diabetes or neuropathy?
No.
Thyroid? I'm sorry, high blood pressure?
Yes.
Okay. And how many medications do you take for this high blood pressure?
1.
One, okay. Asthma or COPD?
No.
Lupus or RA?
No.
Liver or kidney disease?
No.
Have you ever had COVID?
A what?
Have you ever had COVID?
Yes.
And were you hospitalized?
No.
Okay, great. And have you had any surgeries before?
Yes.
And what kind of surgeries have you had?
Breast and abdominal.
I'm sorry.
Breast and abdominal.
Okay, the abdominal, when did you have that surgery?
In the ages, probably, I don't remember that.
Okay, so that's been a while. Okay, good. And what's the other one you said?
Breast,
Oh, breast. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. The phone was cutting off. And when was that? When did you have that surgery?
same time.
Okay, good. Was it due to cancer or anything?
No.
Okay, good for you. Now I'm going to ask you some financial questions, okay?
Okay.
Are you currently disabled, retired, or working?
Retired.
Okay. And what's your monthly income?
3,000.
And is that from the retirement? Like, is that your pension plus your Social Security?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Do you currently own or rent your home?
Rent.
Rent. And how much is your monthly rent?
$350 a month.
All right, perfect. And what would you say your total monthly expense? You know, that's including if you have a car payment, insurance, food, your cell phone, internet, you know, all the shebang, your date night. How much would you
Maybe,
estimate all that?
let's say 2,000.
2,000. All right, perfect, perfect. Do you have any 401k, IRA, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or significant savings?
I have savings, but none of the other.
All right. So what we want to do is to try to make, and you were looking for burial, is that correct?
Whatever final expense involved.
I'm sorry.
What is final expense involved?
So big people buy fire, normally people get final expense for three different things. One is for if they want to cover their burial. And two, they want to leave some money behind for their loved ones. Or three, they want to take care of certain bills to be paid off or the mortgage or something in that nature.
So the first two.
The first three, so you want to cover the burial and also leave some money behind.
Right. We talked about that and we talked about Michael, right?
We talked about Michael?
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Not really.
Do I need to speak louder?
Maybe bring the phone a little bit closer.
Okay.
If you can. What was your
Okay.
question?
Is that better? Can you hear me better
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay.
What was your question?
I don't have a question.
Okay. All right. So I see here we want to make sure we get the burial taken care of and you want to leave some money behind. But I want to make sure that first and foremost is we have our number one thing taken care of is the burial. And if we can leave some money behind for your loved ones, then that would be great. You know, because obviously we got to make sure that this fits within your budget and it's something that you want, okay?
Right.
Because
Yes.
the last thing I want you to do is get a policy and 6 months down the line, you end up not able to pay for it. Two things is going to happen. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Two
I
things
said,
is
yes,
going to happen.
I understand. I'm not going to cancel. I feel like I need the coverage, and so yes. I'm
Yeah,
ready
and the
to
reason
do it.
I'm saying that, is because if you end up canceling 6 months, one is going to make me look bad that I didn't do a good financial analysis for you. But the real major issue would be is you stop paying it and now you don't have any coverage and you're going to leave your family vulnerable for those burdens. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some things together here for you and then I'm going to go over it with you. Can you grab a pen and paper, please?
I'm ready.
All right. Now, based on these health questions that you answered, what I see here is we're going to go with the company named AIG. Have you ever heard of them before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, AIG has been around for over 100 years. They're a very reputable company. They have not missed a payment, and they've always been on target with what they have to do. So they're always taking care of their clients. Okay. Now, but
Yes.
before we do that, I have another company that I want to recommend. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I love their policies. They have really good policies. But the thing is, they are harder to approve to go through them. Okay. But I would like to take the chance and see if we can get you approved. And if they can't get you approved, then we'll just revert back to the AIG. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to ask you these questions and just answer yes or no. I asked you all the questions, 20 questions. There are 20 questions. You answered no to all of them. All right, perfect. It seemed like it's given us the green light so we can move forward with this one. Doesn't mean that you're approved yet, but it's just saying that they're willing to accept to look at the application, okay?
Okay.
Now, what's the amount of coverage that you're looking to get?
50,000.
Okay, the maximum you can go with this one is 40,000.
Let's go with that.
With 40,000, okay. Now we got to make sure that it also fits within your budget, right? We don't want to break the bank,
Right.
right? So I'll put a couple of things together for you, and I would like for you to write this down on a piece of paper. Write option number 1, and if you scroll down, skip a few spaces and write option number 2, and skip a little bit and write option number 3.
Ready.
Wow, this looks pretty good though. You know, actually a couple of days ago I helped a client, you know, was about 2 years older than you. And they had a little bit worse health condition that you did, and their policy came in about $550.
So what is mine coming in?
All right, so here we go. Under option number 1, write 40,000,
Yes.
and your monthly premium is going to be $339.
Okay.
And option number 2 is going to be 35,000, and your monthly premium is going to be $299. Scratch that number 3 because you chose the max, so I'm not going to go too much lower. I'm just going to keep it around there. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm talking to you as not a client. I'm just talking to you as teammate. Okay.
As
So it's
what?
just going to be 2 options I gave you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, which one of those 2 options that you feel comfortable with?
What's the highest coverage was 35,000 that I qualified for?
No, you haven't qualified for anything yet, but what we're
Of
doing,
the options that you gave me, what was the highest coverage amount?
40,000.
Okay, well, that's the one I want to go with.
Okay, so you're comfortable with that one? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this application, okay?
Okay.
Now, just to revert back a little bit, because I skipped a little bit. When we were going through the showing you about myself, and after I told you about myself and everything, there I would tell them what we're going to do. And to submit the application, they're going to ask for 2 pieces of information. One, they're going to ask for your social security number because they want to make sure that you are who you say you are and not someone trying to commit insurance fraud and get insurance in somebody else's name. And they also want to check your MIB, which is Medical Information Bureau. The second thing they're going to ask for is your banking, to have on file is your banking institute or credit union. And that's because if you do get qualified, they're going to withdraw the first payment and you're going to be covered right away. Usually it takes 2 to 7 days to get an approval. And you don't have to pee in a cup or do a blood withdrawal or blood draw or medical exam. Medical exam. Sounds good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now fast forward to where I just presented to you. As soon as I told you you chose the plan that you want, I just say perfect. Give me a second. Let me log into the portal so we can start the application.
Awesome.
Boom, right there.
Hytham, you did a good job, man.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
job. You went through it. You hit all the steps except for one.
Which one is that?
Did you build the value?
I was going to say that because I was gonna say that was my second thing, but I forgot. Yeah, so the value.
That's
would
okay.
rather
That's
do-
okay. Sometimes
I
we miss
I
things,
usually
right?
do
That's
it.
why we do the call. That's why
Yeah, I
we
usually do it 100%. So in that case, before I presented the prices for you, I would have been like, this is a Miracle Eagle Premier, and it has some cool features in it. So you have, let's say you have a policy that's $40,000. That's gonna pay you $40,000 for natural cause of death, okay? But it has a rider with it, and that's included within the price, so it's not something that you have to pay for. And it's
Right.
called accidental rider. What that
Mhm.
means is if you were to die of an accident, slip and fall, slip in the shower, car accident, any kind of accident that you can think of, the policy is going to pay you 2 times your face amount. So if you have a $40,000 policy, face amount, is going to pay you $80,000.
Mhm.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Another rider that it has a common carrier rider, meaning if you were to die on a plane, bus, train, or a cruise, except Uber and Lyft, is anything that you have to pay a fare for to use, it will pay you 3 times your face amount. So if you have a $40,000 face amount, it's going to pay you $120,000.
Michael's gonna get that money.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not for you, obviously. And this is a whole life, so that means you don't have to. It's not a term; it's a whole life. You don't have to worry about it. It's gonna be there until your age 120. Okay, so you
Okay.
don't have to worry about it. And another thing is it builds cash value, meaning when you start making your monthly premium, after 2 and 3 years, they have built value. And let's say one day you were strapped on cash, you were low on cash or whatever reason is. Instead of going to the bank to apply for a loan to submit papers and get approved, you can actually borrow from the money that you have paid towards the policy. And you'll have 2 options. You have one option that you can pay it back. The second option, you don't have to pay it back. But let's say you borrowed $2,000 from the policy, right? And you do pass away and you never paid it back. And you have a $40,000, you borrowed $2,000,
Right.
they'll just subtract that $2,000 and
Right.
they'll cut a check for $38,000 for Michael.
Right.
And
I've
you know
gone
what
through that
else?
before. I understand.
Okay. And also it is tax-free, 100% tax-free. So when they cut the check to Michael, Michael doesn't have to pay any taxes for any of the money that he's getting from that check.
Okay.
Okay.
Good deal.
All right.
All right. Good job of building the value. One thing I do want to add on to there, you guys can use this as one of the points to build the value on every policy that we write, except for one with Ethos. And it's very rare that we write it. Level premium, right? That's a huge value. How many times do you talk to clients and you're like, you've probably heard of those policies that when you turn a certain age or every 5 years they go up because the carrier thinks that they need to charge you more money because you're older. Not here. These are all level premium. So when the carrier tells me the price, that's what it's going to be forever. So Joe, you're 66 years old right now. When you're 70, you're still going to be paying as if you were 66 years old. That's pretty cool, huh? Yes, that's why it's important to get it today, because we're never getting any younger. We're always getting older, and the older we get, the more expensive it's going to be. And if you were to apply at 70 years old, it's going to be a heck of a lot more expensive than it is today. So it's a good thing that you're thinking about this today, huh, Joe? Yes. Okay, so don't forget to have them write down level premium. That's a huge one. Good job, Hytham.
Thank you. Now,
We're on your way, my man.
What I used for that is, if you notice, I first told her we're going to go with AIG. And I told, I kept that as in my back pocket and pivoted to Americo, just so she can feel like, okay, well, this is serious. We still got to get approved for it. Hopefully we can approve for it, right? Because this policy sounds so good. It's got some extra perks. and I left AIG as a backup to fall back on, even though I knew it was gonna, because you answered no to all the questions that I asked you. So I already knew we're going with Americo, but I left that in the back pocket, and I left that in the back of your mind, just in case if I'm doing the application and something goes wrong, and we get that yellow light and we can't move forward, I have something to fall back on, and she's already aware of it.
Awesome. That's a good little trick you got there, a good little tip. Sometimes that works for people. Good
I
job.
do it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
do it
right.
all the time now. It's
Awesome.
it's saved me a couple of times.
Awesome. Carolyn, do you feel comfortable being the agent?
No.
Not yet? Okay. All right. Well, let's just
Not
slide
yet.
by this time. But you're gonna have to be the agent here coming up, okay? That's the only way you're gonna get better, right?
Thank you.
This
I
place
want-
right here is a no judgment zone, and we're here to get better. The toughest client that you'll ever have is us, because we know what you're gonna say. When you get
Okay.
on the phone, that's the easiest client you're ever gonna have,
Okay.
right? So we'll let you slide this time though, Carolyn.
Can
Haley,
I suggest something? And that's for anybody and everybody.
what's
is
that,
when you
Hilo?
do- Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Because I've thought about it before, and once I tried it, it helped me. When you're doing a role play, do not look on the screen at us, because when you're talking to the client is not in front of you. You can't see them. So that's why I kind of looked away from the camera, because before it used to make me nervous that everybody's looking at me, everybody's listening. So I started not looking at the camera, look elsewhere, and pretend that I'm talking to somebody on the phone, because all I can hear is voice. And it helped me. So that's just a tip I wanted to share. Hopefully you guys can use it.
All right. Thank you, Hilo. Okay.
You're welcome.
Haley, do
Thank
you want to be
everyone.
You're welcome, Carolyn. Haley, do you want to be the agent?
Yeah, I'll be the agent. Me and Hytham were like secretly talking while the last two people were going, and
Okay.
he was like, "We're up next." I was like, "Yeah, all right."
Then you want to be
So
the client?
he
Sure.
went.
All
so
right.
it's my turn.
Go ahead, Haley.
All right. We're focusing on final expense one call close, just to
Yep.
make that clear to everybody. Ring ring.
Hello?
Hi, Hytham. This is Haley, just giving you a call back. I got that form that you filled out and sent back into the office. Looks like you were just trying to get some information about the life insurance programs going on right now. I'm the field underwriter that's assigned to get you that information. Won't take too long, just maybe 15 minutes or so. Just grab a piece of paper and a pen for me real quick.
What form? I don't remember filling out a form.
Yeah, I totally don't blame you. We're a little backed up, so it probably was a couple of months ago, to be honest with you. It just looks like you were filling out a form to get some information about those funeral or burial expenses, getting that taken care of for your family. Was that something you were looking for?
Yes,
or
yes, I
something
do
different?
remember. Yes, I did that.
Stop right there. Let's start
Okay.
all over. Haley, so when somebody says, what form did I fill out? This is the thing that you say. You're going to find the need. Most people, not you, most people fill this out because they want to make sure that if something happened to them, they don't leave a financial burden to a loved one for a burial or a final expense. Which one were you thinking about? Okay, because that way they have to answer the question. And when you say burial or final expense or cremation, those are trigger words that's going to help them remember, oh yeah, I did fill that out, right? But if you say you, a lot of times that's going to put up a brick wall and say, wait a minute, I didn't fill anything out. And maybe they didn't. Maybe it was a loved one. Maybe it was their wife, their husband, right? So this is where you say most people fill this out because they want to make sure that they don't leave a financial burden to a loved one for a burial or a cremation. Which one were you thinking about? A burial. Okay. And then continue on. Just to confirm, I got your date of birth as 1/12/1962, blah, 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 blah. All right. Go ahead, Haley. Let's start all over. I know I
Would you have that
interrupted you.
No, totally. I appreciate it. Okay. You said beginning?
Ring ring.
Sorry.
Ring, ring.
It's not okay. Ring ring.
Hello?
Hi, Hytham. This is Haley. Just giving you a call back. I got the form that you filled out and sent back into our office.
Nope,
Looks
he
like
just
we're just
told
trying
you,
to get some information.
he just told you don't use the word you filled out. Just say, I'm calling regarding this form that was filled
I
out.
thought that was regarding the objection, not like
No,
my
no, no.
introduction.
When you call the
sentence.
client, you tell them, I'm calling regarding this form that was filled out. Don't point the
Yeah.
finger at them as they filled it out, because it could have been their wife filling it out.
Yep, no matter if it's in the objection or the script, no matter when.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
We want to try to not trigger any words that's going to get them to combat against us, right? And even though they did fill it out, if you say you, that's going to cause, and a lot of people will just say, yeah, I filled it out. But some people won't say that. And we're trying to eliminate every opportunity for them to combat us. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you say like regarding
Yeah.
the life insurance programs, not the form. You don't say anything about the form that they filled out.
No, you don't say the word you filled out.
Yeah. So
Don't
hey,
point
Hytham.
it out as that person filled out. Just say
Okay.
the form that was filled out.
Yep. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Hey, Haley, this is Sean Simpson. I'm just giving you a call back regarding that form that was filled out. This is in regards to the final expense and burial programs that are going on statewide right now. I got your date of birth as 1/12/1962. Is that your date of birth? Yep. Okay, most people fill these out because they don't want to leave a financial burden to a loved one for a final expense or a burial or a cremation. Which one were you thinking about? A burial. Okay, great. And then you continue on. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Haley.
Okay. Ring ring.
Hello?
Hi, Hytham. This is Haley, just giving you a call back regarding that form that was filled out, regarding those life insurance programs going on right now. To get you that information, just got to verify a few things real quick.
Okay.
Okay, I have your birthday as June 7th, 1960.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And I don't see this on here, but are you a smoker or a non-smoker, Hytham?
Non-smoker. What is this
Okay.
about again?
Perfect. This is just regarding the life insurance programs. I just got a request.
Most
that was
people
filled
fill
out.
these out.
Most people fill these out, just looking for some information to cover those funeral or cremation expenses. Which one of those were you looking for?
I was looking to leave some money behind for my family.
Okay. A lot of people want to do that as well. Take care of those burial, funeral expenses and leave them behind to their loved ones. So this won't take too long, maybe 15 minutes or so. Just grab a piece of paper and a pen quick and we can go over that.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And you said you just wanted to cover those funeral expenses, some extra behind if you could afford it, correct? I just want to make sure I got everything.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Haley,
Perfect.
find the
So-
need. Find the need, right? Who would be the one picking up the pieces for you if something were to happen to you? Dig into why. Dig into the pain,
Yeah.
right? Think outside the box a little bit. Don't read the script. I want you to think.
I know, I don't want to think. Because I have this in a weird order as to what you're going through right now. So I'm going to repeat myself, but I'll follow along with the advice anyway.
Okay.
Okay, Hytham. So who's going to pick up the pieces if you were to pass away tomorrow?
That's the reason why I want to get this policy, because my family would struggle trying to get this taken care of.
Yeah, perfect. That's why most people fill this out. So my job's pretty simple. I'm not a sales agent or for any specific company. I'm just a field underwriter for the state. So I work with nearly every carrier in Michigan. Now, I don't do that to brag or anything like that. I just say that so that you know I'm able to look around and see what you're eligible for. and of course, try to find a plan that fits your budget as well as your needs. So like I said, I'm not a sales agent. I'm just an underwriter. I don't have any kind of fancy presentation for you. So we're just going to jump straight into financial and medical questions. And then from there, I'll be able to recommend what you're most likely to apply for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So once we find an option that makes sense, we'll submit a request for coverage to find out what you'll qualify for. And one of two things will happen. The carrier will either let us know that you did not apply, and that's totally okay. Pivot to a different carrier and resubmit the request. Or two, they'll let us know that you did qualify, and from there, we'll have 30 days to adjust up, adjust down, or keep everything exactly as is. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay, perfect. And just to clarify, when we do go to submit the request, the carrier is going to require two pieces of information. So the first thing is going to be your social security number. I'm sure you're familiar with the HIPAA laws.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're not going to be able to, so they're not going to be able to qualify you for any coverage unless they get access to your health history. The way for them to do that is for you to authorize that through your social security number. The second piece of information that they're going to need is just a financial institution on. You're not going to be charged anything today at all. They just want to make sure you have a valid form of payment for if you do get approved, which you will find out within 2 to 7 days of submitting the request that we're going to put in today. And then from there, you're going to have 2 to 7 days before they actually withdraw that first payment. And
Haley,
from
can you
then,
just
you're
give
going to
me
have
the
immediate
price?
coverage.
Haley, can you just give me the price?
Yeah. So, so we're pretty much wrapping it up. I just got to ask you those financial and medical questions since it is based off of health and age. Then I'll be able to submit that request like I was just talking about, and I'll be able to get you a price, okay? So
Okay.
probably about 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So you said you were a non-smoker, correct?
Correct.
Then are you married, widowed, or single?
All the above.
Okay.
You just got it.
Awesome. And what's your wife?
Married.
Mary. Okay, perfect. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna ask you some quick meta questions. You know if you ever had them, heart attack, stroke, TIA, care, blah, blah. We're just going through all that kind of. Now, do you currently have any life insurance in place?
No.
No?
No,
How
I
about
don't
your
have
wife?
any.
Neither one of you? Okay. And have you guys applied for life insurance before?
No.
Or looked around at all by chance?
No.
Okay. What's the reason that you guys haven't looked around at all?
I don't know. Didn't think I need it, but just I realized that hey, one day I'm gonna die eventually, so and I don't want to leave that
No,
burden
hey,
behind.
Yeah, I totally understand. Okay, perfect. Well, just give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure based on all the information that you gave me, I know where you and your wife, pretty, pretty well off, but I just want to get a second opinion real quick. So I'm just going to put you on hold and call my senior underwriter and see what he has to say about it real quick. Okay.
Marico Eagle.
Okay. Okay, so I just spoke to the senior underwriter and we're kind of on the same page. We're going to put in a request for Americo Eagle. They're going to have a really good price. You have all these living benefits. Do you actually know what the difference between term and whole life insurance is?
No,
Okay, do you have that piece of paper and a pen handy?
I sure do. It's still blank.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have you write a couple things down real quick and then all the pricing. I
Okay.
just want you to know actually what you have, because if you're unfamiliar with what you're putting in place, obviously it's kind of hard to use the benefits. Am I right?
Hey, hang
Okay,
on one
so the
second.
first thing
That's
I
a
want you
client.
to
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Haley, keep going. I'll play.
Yeah, hi Charles. This is hi.
Okay, he just muted. I totally
Muted
lost. Okay, so we're going over the
I got your back. I was listening.
term life benefits. Okay,
Yep.
so just real quick, write down for term life. I know we're not gonna go for term life. We're gonna go more towards something that's permanent for the rest of your life. But I just want you to know kind of the difference between the two. So the thing to write down for term is tax-free.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, when something happens to you, your family is going to get paid out the death benefit we agreed on and got approved for, and there will be no taxes charged to that. The second thing I want you to write down is chronic illness,
Okay.
and next to that, write 100%.
Okay.
So I'm forgetting what chronic illness is. That's the 2 out of 6 daily living activities.
You asking me?
I'm looking at Sean, can't tell because we're on a Zoom call.
Yes. Just keep going. He'll tell us. Good. Just
Okay.
relax. It's just me. Keep
Chronic
going.
is the 2 daily living activities, the
Yeah.
2 out of 6 ADLs. Critical, when you're in critical condition, your health, right? So when the doctor calls and says, "Hey, your husband got in a car accident, he's in critical condition," that doesn't mean that, oh, he can't perform 2 of the daily living activities. It means that he something is wrong with his health. So just remember,
So the chronic illness, you'll get 100% of that death benefit. If you were to get into some sort of act or something were to happen to you and you could only perform 2 of those 6 daily living activities, feed yourself, bathing yourself, eating, you know, those kinds of things. The thing I want you to write down is critical illness. That's also going to be 100%. So there's the things like, you know, a minor stroke, maybe an accident, and you know, your wife is in the hospital, and she'll be out in a few weeks. You know, things like
Sorry
that.
about that.
Okay.
Next thing that I want you to write down. Okay, are we switching back over?
Nope. He lost it. I'm
Oh.
going. Let's go,
Okay.
Haley.
No,
All
I'm
right, let's
back.
just- yeah.
I'm back. Keep going.
Next thing I want you to write down is terminal illness.
Okay.
That's also going to be 100%. So that's just basically if the doctor's telling you that you have a condition that you only have the next 12 months or less to live, then you would be able to have access to 100% of that face amount to be able to
That-
help offset those
That's
expenses.
50%. That's 50%, not 100%.
For term, I thought it was
Terminal illness is
100%.
50%. Chronic illness is 25%.
okay, you guys are getting her all confused.
okay, whatever. Anyway, so
So-
the thing I want you
Go ahead, Haley.
Okay. I don't want to go too far into the term insurance stuff, since we're not going to be looking at too much. But there are 3 different kinds of term policies, and that is CBO, which is just cashback option. Accidental, you can add to that, anything like that. And then there's a couple other riders that you can go through that are also involved in the whole life insurance. So we'll just go over that when we go over whole life. And then the last thing for term policy, just want you to write down level premium. Any questions? Information, not super important. I know we're looking at the whole life stuff.
No,
But
that's
we'll
it.
just move on to the whole life. Okay, to the whole life policies then. So just next, real quick, about more minutes or so. The whole life policies, I just want you to know what kind of benefits you have with that, since this is what we will be submitting the request for. First thing I want you to know is that it's permanent coverage. Obviously, that means you can't outlive your policy like you do with term insurance. You're going to have this for the life. This is also
Okay.
the write down tax-free for me as well. Whenever something does end up happening to you, your family will be able to get paid out this face amount that we had gotten approved for, and they will not be taxed for that. So it will be the entire amount. Now, the next thing I want you to write down is terminal rider. is like the terminal illness with the term insurance. 12 months or less, you know, you go to the doctors, you will get paid 50%. Well, you will have access to 50% of your face amount to help pay for those medical expenses, which is a pretty, you know, big help when something like that happens. Builds cash value. So as you pay your premium, you're going to be kind of building like a bank account, and you will have access to take a loan out on whatever amount you had already in the policy for any kind of emergency funds. You would kind of have that as. And then the last thing I want you to write down is level premium. Never gonna get more expensive. It's never going to get any cheaper. The price that I tell you today is the price that it's going to be for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, perfect. So we're just going to get into submitting the request real quick, and then we will know within 2 to 7 days if you are approved. We can go from there, all right?
Okay.
So this is where I would go through all of the extra medical questions, submit the request, ask for their social security, their banking info, whatever. Oh, look, you were actually approved right on the spot. So for
How much is it?
40,000,
Did you give a price?
you know, since you're a non-smoker, last client I actually worked with was a smoker, and he paid $500 for $40,000 of coverage, but it actually came back as $352.
Okay.
Okay.
And this for how
So
much?
you know, this is for the whole 40 grand of coverage. So this covers all of your funeral, burial expenses, leave extra to your beneficiaries that you talked about. And yeah, you got a pretty good rate, like I said, since you're a non-smoker. That's awesome. Most people can't say that at your age. And then
Okay,
all
well,
I
that's good.
pretty much have to do is send you an email, have you finish signing the information, and you'd have him.
I don't know if my internet is cut off. Did you say something?
I think hers is cutting out because she's cutting out.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Oh,
me.
is my internet actually cutting out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Did
me.
you deliver the price, Haley? We're trying to figure out what the
Yeah.
price was. I heard you say
Yeah,
somebody else's price, but I didn't hear you say your price.
Yeah, so I said the smoker's price for the same age was 500, but his came back at 350 because he was not a smoker.
Oh, okay. I get it now.
And all we would have to do is pretty much finish getting the signature and submit the request, and that would be kind of the end of that. Whatever.
You're gonna give her an objection, Hytham?
That's a little bit too much.
There we go.
But I just need to show
That's
you, so you're
that's
not
a little bit
supposed to
out of
give
my
me that
budget.
objection.
What are you gonna do now, Haley?
Okay. That's no problem. Did you have a we can bring it down a little bit. I know 40,000 is kind of the max. You know, obviously wanna leave all that extra to your family, like you said, but 1,000 would also leave a little bit for them and take care of all those expenses. So let me give you a price on that real quick. Button. Okay. Oh, awesome. That actually came out to 275.
So what is
You know, and
275
like
for
I
what?
said, for
What is it,
30 grand of
275 for
coverage,
what?
dollars of coverage that you can pay for those funeral and burial expenses. Can leave a little extra to your daughter and your son, and then you can also have those living benefits that we talked about with the illness and well, I guess that's the only living benefit. The accidental as well.
I didn't hear how much coverage. I heard the 275, but I didn't hear. I don't know if you cut off or something.
She said 30,000.
Oh, okay.
30,000.
Okay, that's a little bit more like it. That's still on the high side, but it's more like it. I can handle that.
Okay, well, you're not locked into this today. We're just pretty much gonna get it set up, make sure you're approved and everything goes through well. Like I said before, you have 30 days to adjust up or adjust down. So we can follow up a little bit later and make sure everything goes through well. And yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Calls ended. So not bad, Haley. Not bad. You have to go through a lot more of those. And that's how you're going to learn,
Okay.
just by taking massive action, giving a lot of presentation. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips right now. One thing I noticed that you forgot. So by the way, guys, the whole sales process is in the chat right now. Download it, keep it handy so you guys can have it in front of you while you're talking to people, so you can kind of keep your steps aligned, right? So one thing that I noticed you did forget was building the credibility of yourself, right? You want to make sure that
Yeah,
they can see your license, because if they can't see your license and you don't talk about who you are and you build that credibility about yourself, how are they going to know who you are, right? Obviously, some
Yeah.
people will feel comfortable with giving you some important information, some of their personal information, if you just go through it, right? But some people won't. Most people won't. We live in a day and age where there's a lot of scams going on. We don't want to say the word scam, right? Because that's going to bring up a red flag and they'll start thinking about it, right? But we just want to talk about ourselves so that we know, or so that they know, that we are a legitimate person, right? That we're licensed, right? Another thing that I wanted to point out is when you build the value, you built the value, you also price conditioned, and you did a good job. Okay, you remembered it, right? Some other people on here did not remember those pieces. You did. Good job. So when you build the value, you don't have to talk about the policies that they're not gonna buy, right? You were talking about a term policy with all the benefits. Okay, that can go back and hurt you, actually. Why? Because if you're talking and building the value of a term policy with all the benefits, now you're trying to sell them a policy that doesn't have all the benefits, they're going to be like, well, I want that one. Then you have to explain why they can't get that one, right? So only build the value of the policy. Only build the value of the policy that you're going to present to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Not only that, it'll keep the call a little bit shorter. Here's the deal. When we're on the call with the client, we want to make sure we get all the information in there and keep it as short as possible. Now, I'm one to tell you that my calls are long. They're about an hour, depending on the client, sometimes an hour and a half, right? But I go over everything in detail, and there's a method to my madness. I can't even say it. Method to my madness. But the reason why I do that is so that they understand everything. And if you see the sales process, I go through that same process every single time on the call. But you want to condense it, right? You want to make the call, I think the right word for it is make the call more efficient. So you get the information to the client in a timely manner, right? If we fill it in with all of these fillers, they're going to get upset. They're going to get bored. They're not going to want to listen to you. They're not going to, and they're going to hang up, or they may be disinterested, right? So we want to make the call as efficient as possible by getting them all the information they need, but make it as short, as condensed as possible, right? So any other comments, anything like that before we end the call here?
I just want to know how we were talking about finance plans. I leave for 2 minutes, come back, we're talking about term. What happened while I was gone?
That's my point. That's my point.
That was
building the value of a term policy when she didn't need to.
To asking him if he knew the difference between term and life, and then I just got way too into the term.
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah. So practice more, do more role plays. If you want to do role plays with me, we can jump off in a breakout room and do a role play. If anybody else wants to role play, you guys are all welcome to jump out in a breakout room and do some role plays for 5, 10, 15 minutes and then jump back in.
How do you do a
Now,
breakout?
I encourage you to do that. What's that?
How do you do a breakout room?
Well, down at the bottom, there it says breakout rooms. You just click on that button and then you go into a room.
Oh, okay, it's under more. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And it'll take me away from here, right?
Yep, and it'll put you in another room and you can choose room 1 or 2. And so if somebody else is in one breakout room, you can go into the other breakout room and have it one-on-one with you guys. And then just
Now-
come back.
Can anybody also join that breakout room?
Yeah, if you invite them. Yeah.
Only if you invite them, or they can just barge in?
Well, they can barge in if you want to, but I mean, what's it matter?
Oh, I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
Is it
somebody
more like-
can go in there. That's
Huh?
what they're there for, right? We're all one big happy family first.
Okay, I can start barging in then.
All right. You do that, Hytham. You do that, my man.